Let's have another situation. Who's got another jackal for us to tame? I hope somebody does. It's embarrassing sitting up here playing with these puppets all by myself. Thank you, yes.
I would very much like to hear something about a child being like him and the mother being just as well as bad as him.
Oh, a parent-child situation. Who's the child? Who is the giraffe?
Not yet.
No, nobody yet. Well, let's start off, Mom. How old am I, Mom?
9 years.
Pardon?
9 years.
9 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, Mom. Tell me, what is it that I'm doing that you don't like?
Very demanding.
Ow! The child asked you for an observation, and you gave him a diagnosis. So, observation, Mom, no diagnosis. Very demanding is two diagnoses. Demanding is a diagnosis, and very is a double diagnosis. Tell him the answer to the question. What is he doing?
It is very difficult to find a word.
It is very difficult. In fact, Mom, the philosopher Jaddu Krishnamurti says that in his estimation, the highest form of human intelligence is the ability to observe without evaluating. So yes, it's very difficult to answer this question of, Mom, what am I doing? And to answer that without making any criticism, diagnosis, analysis, the highest form of human intelligence, according to this philosophy.
Well, I'm observing very excited.
Any feeling, Mom, is a diagnosis.
I just can't describe it.
Well, when's the last time? Think of a concrete situation, Mom. And what was I doing at that time? You said very demanding. Is it something that he asked you 3 or 4 times for something, even when you have told him the reasons why?
He won't be able to have it. He just wants to have things which I know that I can't give him.
Hold it, Mom. You said can't. Can't is pure jackal. He knows you could if you wanted to. So why would you lie to him? See, there's no word for can't in giraffe. If we're an honest giraffe, we don't say can't. We say, I don't know how to, and I want to be shown how to, or I don't want to.
If I say I can't, then I mean that I don't want him to have these things because I think it's not good for him.
Okay, now we're coming closer. So now, I want this candy. I want this candy. I want this candy.
Should I answer to that?
Yes, answer, Mom.
I believe you should not have it.
Ow! Mom, may I suggest something to you? If you want to make life easier for you and your child, find another word beside the one you just used, because whenever you use that word, you're likely to escalate so nobody gets their needs met. And it's a word that I can't say because it's blasphemous for a giraffe to say it. So I'll let the jackal say it. Should. I believe you should. See, that's how a jackal speaks, their values. I believe, I think, and then they use language like should, ought, must, can't. I was working with some parents in one community, and when I told the parents about how dangerous I felt this language was that denies choice, like can't, should, ought, must, this one mother got very upset with me, and she said, well, but there are some things you have to do, whether you like to do it or not. I see nothing wrong with telling my children that there's things that they have to do. I had just finished saying that I thought have to guarantees you won't get what you want when you use that language. So I said, could you give me an example, Mother, about what one of these things are that you have to do, whether you like to do it or not? She said, that's easy. When I leave this workshop this evening, I have to go home and cook. I hate to cook. I hate it with a passion, but I have done it every day for 20 years, even when I have been sick as a dog. So I told her that I was hoping I could teach her some giraffe, because I believed that it might open up some happier possibilities for her. I'm pleased to announce that she was a very rapid giraffe student. She went home that very evening and announced to her family that she no longer wanted to cook. I got some feedback from her family. 3 weeks later, who shows up but her older two sons? They got there a little early, so I was very curious. Because she had been calling me, it seemed like every other day, telling me about major changes in her life when she got rid of all of this have to, should, ought thinking. So I said to the oldest son, what was that like when your mother came home that first night and announced that she no longer wanted to cook? He said, Marshall, I just said to myself, thank God. Well, I said, John, how did you come to that? He said, I said to myself, now maybe she won't complain at every meal. You see, when we trick ourselves into thinking we should, ought, must, have to, we lose connection with the real purpose, with how it serves life. So a giraffe, for those things which are very important, doesn't say, I have to or you have to. It says, I would like to. I would like you to. Because. And then we want people to see clearly how it serves life. But we know that if you use language that denies choice, have to, should, ought, must, can't, that makes it hard for people to stay conscious, purpose by which they're doing things. So none of that language, Mom. Just use the language of your needs, your feelings, but not a language of shoulds, oughts, musts, have-tos, and can'ts.
Is it correct that you say that the whole conversation is escalating? You mentioned that before, that if you can't respond in a giraffe way, then you're likely to escalate each one.
I predict that, unless you're a real mean jackal. And then you say, look, I told you so, and you either do it my way, or I'll make you wish you had. And if the person knows that you are a real deranged jackal, they'll probably be very nice and obedient. I'm not recommending that, because giraffes make a big difference between personal responsibility and obedience. Jackals get those mixed up. They'll say, my child is very responsible. He does everything that I say. Excuse me, but are you mixing up responsibility, personal responsibility, with obedience? What's the difference? You can send a dog to obedience school. Not hard to teach people obedience, but personal sense of responsibility requires choice, and a choice based on one's own values, not on a fear of punishment. So, back to this situation. I want some candy now. I'm hungry. I want some candy now.
I think that is too easy with the candy.
Too easy. What's harder, Mom?
Because then I can come with some arguments and say something about the teeth and the evening meal or whatever.
Mom, let me suggest that the most powerful way you can respond is not with an argument, but with empathy. The way a giraffe says no begins with empathy. When you show empathy for the other person's needs, it becomes easier for them to hear what needs of yours might keep you from saying yes. But if the first thing they hear back from you is reasons for why they can't, they feel alone in their need. They don't feel that their need matters. It's through empathy that we give people the awareness that their needs matter. And empathy, as I said earlier, doesn't mean then that we must now deny our needs and do what the other person wants. So let's start, Mom, by just showing empathy for the person's needs. Just reflect back so you're really feeling it, and show that you understand the need in a respectful way. I don't want to go to school today. I hate that school. It's a stupid school.
Well, then I very often respond with a question.
What kind of question?
Is there anything wrong with you? Do you?
Oh, that's a Jackal question. Ask this kind of question, Mother. Try to show what he's feeling and needing right at this moment.
Yes, I say, for example, are you feeling ill, or are you feeling...
No, I'm not ill. I just hate the teacher and I hate the school. The kids all tease me and the teacher's mean. We first want to be sure that we're really hearing this person's feeling. So watch the giraffe, and then I'll have you do it after the giraffe does. I hate school. The teacher's really mean and the kids all tease me. Yeah, so you really hate going in there today. And you really don't like the way that the teacher responds to you or the children. Yeah, they make fun of me and they call me names. Yeah, so you feel very hurt, and you'd really like them to treat you with more respect. Yeah. Now the child feels he or she's not alone. There's somebody with them right now. Now notice we're putting off what we're going to do about this yet, because the giraffe parent knows that until we've really connected at the feeling and the need level, it's too early to start solving the problem. Jackals immediately try to fix the problem. They immediately try to find a resolution. Giraffes know that if you come to a quick resolution, when there hasn't been empathy, it won't stick. So the first thing we need is to be able to connect with the person's feelings. I don't want to go to school today. The teacher's mean and the kids tease me. So your feeling, connect with the person's feeling. Are you feeling? That's what you say first. Are you feeling?
Are you feeling hurt?
Because?
It's because there was a calling your name.
Now, notice that we say in giraffe, are you feeling hurt because you? Now let me show you the importance of that. You see, let me digress for just a moment. Let me show you how a jackal parent trains a child to be a jackal child. Notice how the jackal parent expresses feeling. It really hurts me when you don't clean up your room. You see, this is because jackals use guilt as a primary tactic for imposing their will on other people. And guilt, in this case, requires the other person to believe that he or she can cause this person's feeling. So when a when the jackal expresses their feelings, they don't do it this way. They don't say, I feel hurt because I. They imply always that it's the other person that hurts them. I feel hurt because you didn't pick up your room. So, we don't want to reinforce that kind of thinking that implies that our feelings are caused by forces outside of ourselves. So now, when we're trying to understand the other person's feelings, we don't say, are you feeling hurt because the children are teasing you? Because eventually we want to teach this child to put on giraffe ears and to see that it's never what the other people do that causes your feelings. It's what ears you put on. So we would say, are you feeling hurt because you would like the children to treat you differently? We want the person to connect their feelings with their needs, not to connect their feelings with what other people do. Because the more we connect their feelings with what other people do, the more they become dependent on other people's behavior for their own internal well-being. We want to teach the child to be a giraffe child, which requires that we be conscious that our internal life is only controlled by us, not other people. So try it again, Mom. And the teacher's mean, and the children tease me. Are you feeling?
Are you feeling hurt because you want to be with the others, or you?
I want them to, to talk nice to me and not to tease me. Yeah. So do I have to go to school today? Let me warn you, this is a loaded question. Let's hear how the giraffe parent handles that. I'm not sure what you're asking me when you say, do you have to? Well, do I have to? I'd be glad to tell you what I would like you to do, but only if I'm sure you don't hear it as what you should do or what you have to do. Because I'd really see the parent wants to have his or her authority respected. That means that we certainly want to let the child benefit by our experience, by our values. But we want the child not to think that because we have certain values, they have to do what we want. So if you'd want me to tell you what I'd like, I'd be glad to. Yeah, I'd like that. I would like you to go to school and wear giraffe ears. Huh? What do you mean? Well, it would be my hope that you could learn how to respond differently when people call you names. How? I'd like you to learn to put on giraffe ears. What's that? I'd be glad to show you. So that would be what I would want as a parent. I'd want to show him how to not give the teacher the power to make him feel bad. Not to give other people, the children, the power to make him feel bad. When my oldest son went to a Jackal school for the first time, he had gone for about the first 6th grades to a giraffe school that I had helped create. But then he went the next year to a Jackal school for the first time. So when he came home from school the first day, I said, school, Rick? He said, okay, Dad, but just some of those teachers. I said, what happened? He said, I wasn't in the door more than one minute. I just walked in the front door, and some man teacher comes running over to me and says, my, look at the little girl. Can any of you guess what the teacher was reacting to? Yeah, my son had long hair at the time, before he saw many men wearing long hair. So I was thinking some rather jackalish thoughts to myself at that moment about a teacher who would greet a child, a brand new child in a school that way, and then use the word girl as though it's an insult. So I was kind of boiling on the inside, and I said, how did you handle it? He said, I did your thing, Dad. I just heard him with giraffe ears. I said, you remembered to do it under those conditions. I feel wonderful about that. What did you hear? Well, it wasn't hard. I just heard that he was feeling irritated and wanted me to get a shorter haircut. I said, how did that leave you feeling? He said, Dad, I felt sad for the man. He was bald and seemed to have a thing about hair. So am I saying anything that's helping you with this 9-year-old? Is there anything more I could clarify about Giraffe's parenting?
I think it's a very good start to have this picture. And a few days before I came here, I heard about what you were talking about. And I tried it immediately with my son. And he was very fascinated. And sometimes I should say, now look at me, look deep in my eyes, and imagine you are a giraffe and I am. And then he's really melting. I've tried this just 1 week ago.
Now you've just made my day. I like very much that people hear about it from somebody else, and then they go and try it, and I really do like to hear how Giraffe gets around. So I'm very pleased that you have friends that are Giraffe, because for me, the hardest application of Giraffe for me is in my role as a parent. Notice I started off the night telling you this story where I was able to put on Giraffe ears, where I was in, 170 people and they're screaming murderer. For me, that's an easy situation. Much easier than when I'm talking to my children. Why? Because I have all kinds of Jackal training as relates to my role as the parent. Like, I'm the parent. I know what's best. One time I even said to my oldest son, I think I know better than you do. I have a PhD. He said, what does that stand for? FUD? So it's very hard for me to do this as a parent. Now, I'd like to, therefore, to suggest to you that the number one thing that I recommend to parents who really want to live this way with their children, be sure that you are getting a lot of empathy yourself. Because unless I have somebody that I can turn to, a Giraffe, daily, and say, I get so frustrated when right in the middle of, I'm in the store and he keeps saying he has to have this, and I didn't want to take the time to sit down and have this discussion with him. And then he's kept getting more and more Jackal-like. And then I come home and I told my husband how frustrated I was, and then he said, you shouldn't let it bother you. And then I wanted to kill him. And then it's so hard for me to get everybody in the family to talk this way and to listen this way. So now I have a Giraffe teammate, close Giraffe, to give me the Giraffe listening that I need. The more I have that quality of listening, then the more I can apply this with my family. Any comments or questions more about Giraffe parenting? We had a session in, where was that? San Diego, California, about 3 years ago, where we had children and coming with their parents to an evening workshop like this. And a young man came up to me after the workshop, and he said, this is wonderful. You ought to get this to all the teachers in the world. So I thanked this 9-year-old gentleman for his vote of confidence. And I said, but that's a lot of work for me to do all by myself. I'll need your help. He says, what can I do? I'm just a kid. And then I suggested some things he could do. Well, the next night we open to the public like this one tonight. And who comes but his teacher and the head mistress at his school. Because one of the things we said that he could do is go and tell them that he got a lot out of it and he would really like them to do. Now, I'm very pleased to announce that if you go to that school now, the Master's School in San Diego, you will see it has declared itself a Giraffe school. All of the parents, all of the teachers, all of the students have studied Giraffe together. And there are several other schools like that in the United States and now some other countries where we show the schools how to set up the school on a Giraffe basis so that the school functions in harmony with it. I've written a book about that called Mutual Education, and it's published only in Swedish. Some of you can probably handle that. So if any of you are interested afterwards, I'll give you the title in Swedish.